Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll be talking about inflation and interest rates again. And I'm going to talk about it as much as is needed to. Because, well, this is going to affect our everyday life, from buying groceries to loaning from the bank for a car, a house, and whatever it is. This is a critical information to know to navigate through your future investments and so on as well. That's why I'm going to talk more about it. So without further ado, let's go straight into it. And now to my first point, which is the inflation report. So before I start, I'm going to give you the inflation report. It's not pretty at all. So the inflation report today, CPI, which is headline inflation, went to 3.5%. And as you recall, this is the March report. As you recall, the February report was 3.2%. And January was 3.1%. So it was already not pretty in February. It went up already. And it was so bad. But this time, it's even worse. Like, if you think about it, 3.1 to 3.5 is really bad. And it's just in the span of 2 months that this has happened, and we're in a state where the Fed has put interest rates at 5.5%, and this 5.5% is supposedly supposed to be the rate that is supposed to bring inflation to 2%, which is the targeted percentage for inflation, which is absolutely far from it. In fact, it's increasing. So if you think about it, shouldn't the Fed actually increase rates instead in this situation? And on to my second point, which is the Federal Reserve's dilemma. So the Federal Reserve is now meeting kind of a block, like a roadblock, in their plan. So their plan was to decrease interest rates 3 times this year by 0.25% each time. So right now it's at 5.5, and they will decrease it until 4.75%. But here's the thing, after the last inflation report that just came out, the May 1st meeting went from having a prediction of 6% chance of decreasing rates to 2.4%. At this point, let's just put a 0. And for June, it went from 54% chance to 21%. And in July, it went from 72 to 45. So it's under 50%. And for June, if you think about it, just look at the data, it's just way too close. They won't have enough time to prepare to decrease rates in just 2 months. July is already under 50%, highly unlikely as well, unless they actually do something about the inflation, which the only logical solution to lower inflation manually is normally to increase rates, not decrease. So I personally would say it's not going to happen. And if it doesn't happen in July, it has to happen in September, November, and December. Which at this point, if you look at it, it looks more like they're not even going to decrease rates this year. Just think about it. Right now, they're in a situation where if they decrease rates, they'll just look stupid to the public. And if inflation keep going up like this, doesn't seem likely they're going to do it. Even though I like to say that election is their deadline by the next election, I don't think because of an election, doesn't matter if it's a huge impact or a small impact in the decision, it will give an impact to what they decide to do. But by the end of the day, if inflation does go up, they're not going to just increase it stupidly. And on to my third point, which is impact on key components. So I'm going to start off with energy prices. Energy prices actually went up to 2.1% inflation last month in March. And that's horrible because in February, the report was negative 1.9% inflation. And it has been negative for a while now. So basically, this is kind of proof that inflation is making a comeback, which is absolutely horrible. Next up is food inflation. That's at 2.2% inflation, which is also bad. But most of us know on a daily basis, it doesn't feel like a 2.2%. It feels more than 2.2%, right? But it's perhaps because the government pay parts of it to not make it feel such like a big impact to the people in straight away. So he wants to he pays a little bit more so that the people in the country pay a little bit less. Actually, they do that. And or it could be because they are comparing factors of many different food and then they find the average, or it's just the way they count it. Anyways, the point is at 2.2%, and I don't really know how they got the number. Maybe it's manipulated. I'm pretty sure it could be. But anyways, moving on to shelter inflation, which is at 5.7%, which if they do decrease the interest rates, it will make the house even more expensive. So if that happens, it's even harder to get a house loan. I mean, less people wants to get a house loan, and in turn, it will affect rent, which will become even more expensive as well. And lastly, which is what the Fed really worries about, is services inflation, which is at 5.4%. Services inflation can hit wages inflation. Services inflation is at 5.4%. And if you think about it, wages, which is the people that provide services, I mean the employees, the people that works hard in society, I guess in the end of the day, they provide services. So services inflation went up to 5.4%, which will also affect wages inflation to increase as well, which the Fed absolutely wants the wages inflation to come down. Basically, because if wages inflation come down, general inflation will come down eventually. It's like a wave effect. So yeah, this is pretty bad news. It's not pretty bad news. It's in fact really bad news. Energy prices just went positive. Services inflation is high. And honestly, I've said this so many times in this video, but I think the Fed should just not decrease rates this year. Perhaps they should even increase it before inflation actually gets out of hand again. And on to my fourth point, which is labor market dynamics. So the labor market, like I said, has increased about 303,000 jobs last month in March. And well, it may seem good. I mean, it is good for the people who got the job, but at the same time, people are taking multiple jobs. So let's just put that aside first. It's good for people who got the job, but we live in a system, and unemployment rate went from 3.9 to 3.8 last month. And the fact that we're living in a system that inflation exists, it also means that if people get job in the current society, not society, but if people get jobs in the current economic situation, then inflation will spike. Which basically, if you get a job, you have to pay more for your daily expenses. But at the same time, you're trying to earn more to spend on your daily expenses. And you have to admit the system exists at the same time, so you can't really do anything about it. Well, of course, trying to get a job to earn money is a solution. If not, you will starve, which would be, of course, worse. But anyways, basically the labor market is also supporting the rise of inflation. So it's good for the people, but also bad for the people as well. I don't know how to phrase this in the most logical way, but I hope you get what I mean. And now to my fifth point, which is uncertainty and consequences. So basically, the chances of any rates lowering for the Fed seems to be plummeting faster than a balloon when it's popped. And actually, the people that seem to actually need a rate cut is more because of the bank or people that do commercial real estate. Let me explain. Because the bank, well, they have to earn money. So they don't actually follow, 5.5% interest rate set by the Fed. They'll put 5.5% as interest rates for them when you want a loan from them. Of course not. They'll go bankrupt if you do that. They're not just a place for you to store money. They actually do need to earn money. And because of that, right now, not a lot of people want to borrow loan, you know. And plus, if you lower rates, and I can lower as well, but lower percentage than you means in percentage wise, I'll earn more if you lower rates. If you get what I mean. Commercial real estate, well, people just needs to earn, rent, you know. And I don't want to build a building that gets more and more expensive to build every year, if you get what I mean. And also, if you look at the stock market, most of the people in the stock market emotionally saying have already decided the fact that in the next few months, the Fed is most likely not going to decrease rates because S&P 500 has just went down, meaning that they think the economy is going to become worse. Anyways, that's kind of like what's going on right now, and we cannot just sit by and let our spending abilities just cripple away. So we have to do something about it. So in conclusion, while inflation's rising and interest rates is staying stagnant for a while, and the fact that our spending capabilities are going to fade away sooner or later is very much real. We should definitely not just sit by and do nothing about it. As I said, we have to do something about it before our spending capabilities crippled very quickly. The conclusion is that we have to earn more money. I make this conclusion every week, but I'm going to say it again that there are a lot of opportunities. I mean, if you look around you, your house, your clothes, your the things that you put in your room, or just walk into the city and you see like chairs in around the restaurant, everything has money in it. I mean, at least it costs money, means it has value, and money flows everywhere. Just have to find the right opportunity for yourself to slip into one of those gaps and go between where the money flows, and then the money will flow through you, and that's where you catch the money. Anyways, I hope you learned something out of this. I hope you are interested in this journey with me. I hope you like and subscribe. I hope you stay to watch the next one. I do want you to comment down below on your thoughts. I do read them, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.